So my name is Matt. I lead the Growth Accelerator team at Swanky. Thanks for watching our Tips in 10 series, where we seek the best advice from our partners to help online retailers adapt to the rapidly changing e-commerce environment. Today we have Fiona Stevens from LoyaltyLion. So Fiona, over to you. Who are you and what does LoyaltyLion do for online retailers?
Hi everybody, so first of all, thank you very much to Swanky for having me here today. I'm Head of Marketing at LoyaltyLion. We are a data-driven loyalty and engagement platform powering e-commerce growth for merchants around the world. We work with merchants across all platforms, particularly Shopify and Shopify Plus, and our focus is really around helping stores make the most of their existing customers and drive more customer lifetime value.
Great. So thinking particularly at the moment, are there any retention strategies that merchants could be using to help them stay afloat?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the moment it's the very best possible time to focus on retention and to try and get the fastest returns you can from those retained customers. First of all, I think it's about reconnecting with your most loyal customers. So the people that have the highest repeat purchase rates, the highest average order values, and they're the most valuable people in the world to you right now, because you shouldn't have to discount to get them to come back and purchase from you again. So in terms of keeping the cash register ringing and not worrying about cash flow, you know, they're the people to focus on. I think there's lots of ways that you can keep those customers shopping right now. So things like first in the queue access to new products or early access to sales, double points promotions. I could go on with loads of different things, but those are the ways to kind of not impact your immediate cash flow, but keep your customers coming back and reconverting at quite a low cost. And their transactions will likely be more valuable because their customer lifetime value is higher. They are more likely to repeat purchase and they spend more. So offering them something exclusive that makes them feel special in this situation is a really good way to get them to come back and spend again. I think in terms of retention, the other area to focus is your at-risk customers. So segment anybody that looks as though they might be at risk of churning. If they haven't come back and made another purchase in the time frame that you expected, then you could surprise and delight them. You could bump them up a tier in your loyalty program. You could offer them a double points promotion if they come back and spend again. Anything that sort of gets them engaged with your brand again and gives them a reason to come back and use points to unlock a reward and spend again. That's a good way to just focus on the customers you have that are more likely to convert over this period. And I think the third really key thing around retention at the moment is kind of getting your house in order in terms of your online presence. It's a great opportunity to take time to incentivize as many people as possible, for example, to leave you a review. You're probably experiencing a bit of a spike in traffic. There's more people at home, there's more people browsing. They may not be converting so well, however. So if you can use the customers that you do have to act as advocates, to leave you reviews, you've got more chance of kind of converting those customers who are perhaps socially distancing or self-isolated and killing time online. So I think it's a really interesting time for merchants. Return on the traditional acquisition activities and ad spend isn't all that stable at the moment, and that actually encouraging people to look at their existing audiences and see how they can keep sales coming in from there is really valuable at this time.
Certainly is. And there's obviously two different schools of thought around like loyalty marketing strategies. But have you seen any that are particularly good at the moment? Any good examples?
Yeah, I think the people who are doing really well right now, the winners during this crisis, are the people that are really demonstrating that they have an awareness of their consumers and what they need and they value. So before any of this, we did our own research last year, and it proved that nearly 70% of consumers say their loyalty is motivated by the fact that a brand shows they share their values. And I think to kind of add to that, Edelman recently carried out some research that showed apparently more than half of consumers believe that brands are responding more quickly and effectively to this pandemic than governments. And 71% will say that they would permanently lose trust in a brand that puts profit over people. So appearances are kind of everything at the moment, and not just appearances, but actually demonstrating to your customers that you care and you can follow through is really, really important. And I think we've seen a lot of people do that very well. There's obviously the big players, people like Pret, who have impressed us all by offering free food to NHS workers. That's great, but not everybody can do that to that level. But there are some small kind of unsung heroes too. And there are some people using LoyaltyLion to do these things. One of my favorites came from Waterdrop. So they had to close their physical stores but they reached out immediately to update their customers. They gave them all the information they needed to get their customers online and start shopping there instead. And they topped it off with free shipping and double points for loyalty program members. And they used a discount code to stay at home. So it just showed them to be really, really relevant and to show that they were looking out for their customers. They wanted to keep in touch and giving people, again, just good reasons to keep up their confidence and keep shopping. Another approach that I really, really liked came from a brand called With Simplicity. So in their normal loyalty comms, I think it was just a standard points reminder email, they included a DIY hand sanitizer recipe at the bottom of their email. Again, it's just showing themselves to be thinking about their customer community, not just pushing products, but actually providing something that's useful and relevant and shows the community that they care as well. I think, the third example that I really liked, I could actually talk about this all day, but the third example I was a real big fan of was around social media. So I read somewhere this morning, I think it's 45% of people say they're spending more time on social media at the moment. Again, probably down to social distancing and isolation. But that's a real opportunity for brands to start working on their social engagement. So we have a customer, Your Super, who awards customers every time they use the brand hashtag within a post. So they're getting a lot of great user-generated content from that. There's lots of people who are mentioning them online. And imagine, just as an example, say that you are a sweatpants brand, you sell tracksuits. There's a whole load of people at home right now who probably haven't, and we were just talking about this, probably haven't put any jeans on for a few weeks. They might have been wearing their tracky bottoms to work for weeks now. They could be posting that online, and it's just showing that brand engagement, showing other customers that they're engaged with your brand, and again creating a sense of community that I think is working really well for brands online at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot to be said, like so with social distancing, obviously people missing that human interaction, but if we can do it digitally, just by sharing those experiences, it helps us feel like we're not alone in this, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think it's a real silver lining to come out of this whole situation, really. I mean, whether it's standing in your garden or you're applauding the NHS at 8 p.m. on a Thursday, or whether it's just watching the gyms put their fitness classes online and all these kinds of things. There's been some really, really nice positive messages to come out in terms of community. And I think the brands that will build relationships that last really well outside of this situation are the ones that not jump on the bandwagon with that community, but really take the time to develop a caring community that people feel they want to be part of.
Yeah, definitely. So just thinking longer term then, obviously there'll be a number of retailers who've adapted and kind of changed their business model to have an online offering. As we see, or if we see online becoming more prevalent and people moving away from the high street, what can new online retailers do to retain those customers long term?
It's a good question. There's a Charles Darwin quote that my CEO Charlie has referenced a few times recently. I can't remember it word for word, but the motto is essentially those who survive are not the ones that grow fastest, but the ones that are most adaptable to change. Something along those lines. And I think actually this is a really fantastic opportunity for a lot of retailers to say, okay, we've been doing the same things for a long time. They were working, but they weren't working as well as they could have. So let's try something new. So there's definitely opportunity to come out of this. But I think the first and most important thing to make sure you're doing is ensuring that you can keep in touch with any new customers that you reach out to or reach on different channels during this time. So a lot of our merchants incentivize account creation, which just means that those guest checkouts have a reason to give you their data and you have a reason to get back in touch with you again. You can send them really great content, you can send them points balance reminders, that kind of thing. But if you miss this opportunity to get them to sign up, you've got no reason to keep in touch with them long term. So I think that's the kind of absolute point number one. I'd also strongly suggest looking at a kind of loyalty program that integrates tiers. I think we've got a few really great examples of stores doing that, but it just keeps people coming back, and it's very aspirational. Each time they move up a tier, they unlock some different benefits. They could be really exclusive things like a online membership to an online Facebook community or exclusive content. It just it gives customers a reason to keep coming back and to grow with you as you grow your online presence. And we've seen that work really well. And I think, the other thing would be using the customers that you do have to help you get new ones. So if you're newly moved online, or you're shifting a lot more of your focus to online, you're going to need to build up that online presence that we've already talked about. And your existing customers are one of the best ways to help you do that. You can incentivize them to recommend you, refer you to their friends and family members. And that's just going to help deliver you traffic that's far more likely to convert. And actually, we know that referred members tend to have a much higher lifetime value and spend more than people that you get through other channels anyway. So I think it's about looking at the customers that you already have and saying, right, well, how can I encourage and motivate them to recommend me as a brand to their friends and family?
Yeah, it's good. We can't forget that word of mouth is still so important and very, very effective.
If anything, it's possibly more important, because when you meet with all your friends in person on a regular basis, you probably talk about anything and everything. Whereas I've had a lot of conversations with my friends on different hangouts and platforms in the last couple of weeks, but everyone's comparing notes on, well, okay, how's your beauty regime changed during this? What products are you using? Oh, I'm going to do some online shopping. What would you recommend? We've had a lot more of those conversations than we usually do. So, and also the things like cooking, or what jigsaws are you doing? You know, it goes into lots of different topics, but I think people are, there's less kind of general chit chat and more. We've almost had an agenda for some of our friend calls. So I think it's a good opportunity to try and make the most of that.
Lovely. Super. Thanks, Fiona, for your advice at this time, and thank you at home for watching. If you'd like to keep up to date with the next video in our series, then hit like and subscribe. If you want to discuss any of today's topics in detail, you can contact us via swankyagency.com.